In this segment, we're going to touch on deploying Kafka and just the basics of Kafka deployment. So you could deploy Kafka using Puppet or using Chef. If you're using Puppet, there's a Puppet-Kafka module on GitHub. You may also be able to find a Kafka module up on Puppet Forge. You could deploy Kafka to physical or virtual machines. You could deploy it in Vagrant. You could also build an image in VirtualBox and deploy it there, and you could also run it in Docker. Kafka supports Red Hat Enterprise. Of course, then it supports CentOS. You could run it in EC2. You could run it on Ubuntu. You could run it on a variety of flavors of operating systems. Again, Windows is going to have the least amount of support of those. If you're looking for an RPM to deploy, there's no official RPM packaging script. Probably not surprising, you'll see a lot of the Apache projects may not have an RPM. But there's a GitHub script for Red Hat 6 that's out there that you could use to base an RPM off of, if that is the way that you'd like to deploy Kafka. It's also completely possible to use a manual deployment. So if you're not using Puppet or Chef or Ansible or something else to drive your deployments, and you don't want or need to have an RPM, then you could also just download the tarball from the Kafka Apache org website, untar it to a directory, and you're ready to go. So these are the basic ways that you could get Kafka deployed. It could be Puppet or Chef or another system you're using to deploy software in your environment. It could be an RPM that you use. It could just be a tarball that you're using. You could deploy it on Red Hat, CentOS, and the Debian-based distributions on a Mac. And you could deploy it with Vagrant, Docker, VirtualBox, really a whole host of environments you could choose. At this point, you should feel comfortable understanding how you can get Kafka deployed in your environment.